So my name is Derv Ryan. If you don't know me, I am one of the literacy development and outreach workers in NALA. If you don't know NALA, we're the National Adult Literacy Agency. And so we support adults to improve their reading, writing, math, and digital literacy. And we'd also promote a literacy friendly approach in organizations. That means that anybody, no matter what their level of reading or writing or maths, they will be able to access your service or your supports. So today's webinar is Adult Literacy and Learning in Recovery. It's the fourth and final webinar of our Literacy Open Stores Series 2025. And the aim is to give people like yourselves working and volunteering in the community and voluntary sector an opportunity, I suppose, to hear about how a broad range of organisations are trying to be literacy friendly and promoting adult learning in their work. So today it is all about learning about the role and impact of learning and education for people who are seeking support for substance use. And we'll also be hearing a bit about the barriers that people are facing if they do have literacy needs and are trying to get into Intrio or some of the other public services. We always like to say at the start in NALA, when we talk about literacy, we do mean reading and understanding text and information, writing and spelling, and using everyday numbers, like working out a 20% discount in a shop, or say you're in a restaurant with friends and you want to divide the bill, like feeling confident and able to do those types of tasks. We also would consider listening and speaking as part of literacy, how comfortable we might be asking questions and communicating day to day. I suppose we know that confidence is a really important part of that people need to feel confident they can ask their doctor a question, or if they're in their courts, that they understand what's going on around them. And we know in Ireland from research from the Central Statistics Office that 1 in 5 adults from 16 to 65 struggle to read and understand texts, say, for example, the back of a paracetamol packet. So it's really a huge number. It's about 700,000 people in Ireland might need help with these kind of tasks. And, for us, it is a responsibility on all of us who are supporting working with the public, but particularly if you're working in and with marginalised communities, that you're understanding of these things and that you know that it's likely you are coming across people that might struggle to access your service if you have a form and you put it in front of them, or if there are any kind of those kind of barriers they might be intimidated by. We always say as well that a beginner reader is not a beginner thinker. And when we're talking about adults, we have to be very careful that we don't equate education with intelligence, because they are not linked whatsoever. People live a very rich life and have a lot of understanding and lots of experience, even if they're not confident with their reading and writing or haven't done a higher level of education. And that's why we don't use the word illiterate or illiterate. We talk about unmet literacy needs, that at some point in someone's life, they didn't get the help they needed to become confident in those skills. So today we're really lucky to have 2 brilliant organizations both working in the field of recovery, and I'm really grateful for them to come today because they're very busy. They do a lot of work, and I suppose we're talking about frontline services, people, really working on the ground with people living on the edge and struggling. So we really appreciate you taking the time. You're first going to hear from Soilse. So Soilse provide pre-treatment, rehabilitation and aftercare programs to people who want support for substance misuse problems. And we have Noel Murphy, who's the manager of Soilse, and Keith Hyland, who has been a participant in Soilse, speaking today. Then we'll be handing over to the SAOL project, which is a community project that provides education programs, recovery support, advocacy and childcare to women specifically affected by addiction and poverty. And we're really grateful today to have Jacqueline Jackie from the Community Employment Scheme in the SAOL project, and Gary Broderick, who is the CEO of the SAOL project. So both speakers are going to, say their piece. I'm going to do an interview style with Gary and Jackie, and then at the end we'll have time for questions. So I'm going to hand over now to Noel, who's going to tell us about Soilse. Thanks, Noel.
Hey, thanks, Dave. So it's Noel Murphy here. Thanks everyone for attending today as well and listening to what we have to say. So I suppose I'll just start first off with a history of Soilse, just give you a quick history. So we're up and running nearly 35 years now in the north of the city. We're a HSC facility. And initially, our primary goal was to work with people who were on opiates. That was the main problem drug at the time. And it was around getting people off opiates, detox preparation, and a drug-free program as well. We had a methadone program where we get people in on methadone, help them detox, and move them on to a detox center, and then bring them back to our drug-free program. That's changed gradually over the years because drug trends have changed. A lot more now is cocaine. You don't need a detox from cocaine. Initially, then, if you look at the profile of the people coming in, it was low standards of education. People had group certs. Some had no left school at 13, 14. Very few people had leaving certs or third level. That's gradually changed now over the last 5 years, where we've a lot of people coming in now who will be cocaine users, and they would have degrees or postgrad qualifications. And we have a thing at Soilse which we work off. It's a concept called recovery capital. And recovery capital means it's what the person comes into recovery with. So what they present with us with. So what skill sets do you have? What family supports do you have? What education do you have already built up in the tank? Have you been in our prison all their life? Have you been homeless? Do you have good family support? Do you have all the stuff that you need to get through life? Now, if you have very low recovery capital, your journey here will be a lot longer and a lot more intense. And our job then is to sort of help build up your recovery capital. Education for us is the key to that. We feel here that we can get people into education and develop a skill set there, that they have a much greater chance of going on in life and doing well. And that's proven over the last 35 years, because I'll give you an example that recently at a meeting there, I think I was speaking to you about that there, was recently at a meeting, continuing care meeting in the North Inner City, and we looked around the meeting and half the people at the meeting were former Soilse participants who had negative experience of skill when they were younger, came to Soilse, got into recovery, got a good hand on their addiction, started off here doing level 3s, went on to level 5s, on to level 7s, and then nearly everyone in the room had postgrad or graduates. So it was just really evidence for us that what we do works, and just to see that all them people had come through the program and now working in the area helping other people. In terms of the program content, we have a partnership here with the CDETB. So they would do a lot of the education classes here. We go as far as QQI level 3, where we look at health and fitness, cooking, challenging discrimination is one of the level 3 classes we have. QQI classes we have drama is a huge part of what we do here. Drama is very big. We have art as well. We do a lot of plays. We do a lot of sort of document, like filming, and we do a lot of stuff like that. So we recently, in 2024, we were running a play, an immersive play. We ran 15 shows over 5 days, and they would start on the street and finish in Soilse. And what we did after the second day, we realised we had something really good, so we filmed it. And we made a documentary out of it then recently. We got funding off the CIF fund, Soilse, and we got enough funding then to put together a good documentary, which I can send to you there, and if you want to share with the group, you're very welcome. So we screened it in the Lighthouse Cinema in Smithfield last week to over 500 people, and the response was brilliant. And really, the documentary is about people in active addiction and what active addiction does. It looks at young people in active addiction, it looks at how it affects families, it looks at like mental health and active addiction, and then it looks at the way out for some people is recovery. Really good. If anyone's interested, I'll send it to there, please can have a look at it. So we're very happy with it, and we're piloting now on some team-wide classes in about 4 different schools, and hopefully it's going to go into Mountjoy and Doka Centre as well over the next couple of weeks. We also have there's really strong relationship with the CDE, because a lot of the people that we would get in, a good percent of people would get in, perhaps would struggle with literacy. Now, one of the problems that we've had recently was we've lost our one-to-one literacy classes due to cutbacks. So a lot of people who would have benefited from that now sort of don't benefit from it anymore, because we don't have that as an option. But we still have our classes, but it's difficult to put someone into a class, even if it's level 3 or QQI 3. If someone's struggling with reading and writing, they're going to struggle in that class, and that can be a problem for them because they feel like as if they're not catching up with everyone else. What we run here is a recovery orientated system of care. So and part of that, it was a continuum of care. So we work with all the different facilities in the area, including like SAOL and North Tennessee. We work with all the clinics, we work with all the other different, like Anna Liffey, all the different the harm reduction facilities. When they get down to a certain point, then they'll transfer them to us. And then from here, then we get them into treatment and then take them back. The program here is about 24 weeks altogether, and then it's 12-month aftercare then after that. So they come back once a week then for aftercare, and then they finish off then. I suppose a big part of what we do really is we have about, let's say, 60 people on the program every day. So we have a number of full-time groups. We have 4 drug-free full-time groups, and each of them has 12 people in it. We have 2 pre-entry groups, and then we have a methadone detox prep group, which is 12 people as well. In 2026, we're looking to. We also run a DBT group, which is it's a dialectical behavioural therapy group, and that's part of our aftercare as well. We run that in conjunction with 3 other aftercare groups. That's run by 2 counsellors, and it works with people who are really traumatised in their life, and it's an approach that works well with people who have serious trauma. Also, what we've noticed over the last few years, is that there's been a continued upsurge in other cohorts who are struggling with. So we have the gay community who we're trying to support as well here. So we have a lot of fellowship meetings here. We have an LGBTQ CA meeting on a Wednesday evening, and due to running that and due to some of the feedback we were getting from that community, there's a really bad need for a chemsex group, support group for people in that community. So we're starting a chemsex group, hopefully on the 16th of January. It's funding. We've got funding approved for it. So that would be the next step then for us then, is to try and support people in the gay community through that group as well. We have that going to be co-facilitated with two psychotherapists. So that's really where we're at the moment in Soilse. I mean, things have changed over the last few years. So initially with us 15, 20 years ago, a lot of what we did was a lot of people who would come in would have really high literacy needs. That's changed. The percentage of that has decreased a bit, but that's due to drug trends and due to the people who are taking them type of drugs. So, but we still have a good percentage of people who would need literacy support and would have, would benefit immensely from that part of the program that we offer. Is that okay, Dave?
Thanks, Noel. Yeah, I just want about you said there, like, you have a wide range of courses, where you're using drama, art, cooking, all that, fitness. Do you find that people say if they do have literacy needs, they're drawn to those classes, that's a more comfortable way for them to engage?
See, we have a staff here that are very understanding of that. We believe in the peer-led approach, right? So a lot of the staff who work here, probably 50% of the staff who work here, are in recovery themselves. And a good few of them would have come through the program at some stage, maybe 10, 15, 20, some 25 years ago. They finished the program, went on, got their degree, got their master's, then come back after 5 or 6 years with experience from other projects as well. So they would understand, from an experiential level of what participants are going through here. So they will have that insight. So it's a very comfortable place for people to come into, there's no pressure, no stress, like people are just, we meet them where they're at, and we try and sort of give them an opportunity then sort of develop. Because we do believe strongly here in the recovery capital concept, which is, in order to get on in life, you do need certain skills, you need a toolkit to do that. And for a lot of people, if you come through the care system, if you don't have that support, if you don't have that resilience, if you've been in and out of prison all your life, if you've been homeless for a long time, and then you come in our door, it'd be difficult for us then just to let you go without trying to build up a different toolkit for you. So that's what we do through that recovery capital concept. So it's around sort of looking after the housing, make sure they get the support housing, make sure they go to fellowship meetings, so you have that social support when they leave here. You have a counsellor, everyone here will have a counsellor. We have a consultant psychiatrist here as well. That's being huge. We got that resource about 2 years ago. and we're not equipped to deal with serious mental health problems here, and we would struggle with that. And a good percentage of people we get in would have that problem. So having the consultant support us on board now, he sees them, he's able to prescribe if needed, and able to give them that support as well. So it is sort of just trying to find that sort of, we see a gap in the service, or we see a part that we can improve then, and increase the chance for the person that's coming through here of moving on, you know.
Well, I think that leads us nicely onto Keith. Keith, you were going to kind of maybe talk about your experience in Soilse, what you did there, and I suppose why you stayed would be interesting, you know, because like Noel's talked about the programs, but they are long and it can be really difficult. So, like, what kept you going, I suppose, would be really interesting to hear.
Yeah, hey, I'm Keith. I suppose I ended up here from, I suppose go back to the start, the early days. I left school at the age of 14, 14, I think. I went to a technical school in the north inner city, where I actually wanted to go to O'Connell's school, where it was a bit more thing, but I think my mother had no sort of education. My mother was a Moore Street dealer. So she just thought, no, go to a technical school because you get off at 12:30 of a Wednesday and at 2 o'clock of a Friday. So the minute I heard that, I said, yeah, that's for me. So we were in that school, and suppose it was just chaos, you know, it was just going on that Mitch, and it was back in the, probably would have been the late 80s. And like, there was education in the school, but we just didn't get it, you know. You had one copy, and the front of it was English, the middle of it was scribbles, and the back of it was scribbles, you know, just to get through the day and stuff like that. So I left there, and suppose I had no education really, but I thought I was all right. You know, I thought that's the way it was. We went out and probably out into the life, and probably a bit of criminality and stuff like that. But I always worked on the building sites as a labourer, and I just got through life, you know. And I thought that was it, you know. We thought we were all right, you know, get a holiday once a year and play football and go to the pub, and you know, bookies, and we thought that was the way of life. But it caught up with me eventually, and I went into addiction. And well, it was a function, and I was working at the time, and but I didn't realise it, you know, until I really hit rock bottom. 15 months ago, I came into Soilse. I knocked on the door basically, and this place opened their arms to me. Really opened their arms to me. Every one of them in here, the staff, just show you compassion. You know, they don't ask you what you've done. They don't ask you where you've been. They just say, "All right, are you willing to give? Are you willing to work hard at this program?" And I suppose I was on my knees. I needed help at my age. I'm 51 now, so I would have been 50, 49, 50 coming in here. And yeah, I started off doing the program. You have to give clean urine, so everything was clean after a week or two. And this man here, Noel, like give me the finger. Like, you have to do this. You have to be willing to try. We can do so much, but it's up to you. So I done it, and I knew this was an opportunity for me. So I done it, and I came in here, and I treated it as if it was going to work. You know, if you want you in at 9 or half 9 in the morning, get in for 9:30 in the morning. There's a kitchen here, there's cups of tea, there's sandwiches, there's apples, there's fruit. So I done that for about, I think it was 2 months, 2.5 months. And it was actually yesterday, the 4th of December last year, they got me into a treatment centre. And I was nervous going in, and still, but I done it. I went in, and I got out on the 1st of January. And I rang, and they got me back in here on the 2nd of January to do a full-time course. So I was willing to do that. I left my job and everything, and I was willing to do that because I knew you needed recovery and needed it. But this place has just built me from the ground back up. Education was my downfall. I could talk, I could play football. I used to even coach football teams, but my education was very low, and my confidence in that environment was low. So I got one-to-ones, what's it called? Illiteracy, one-to-one literacy. We done it in group then after they built me up. They put me into groups in literacy. We do computer courses. We done that. I have don't know what level I have, but I can turn on a computer now and I can do word processor. I can write out letters. I can type out. So, and in the meantime, all that, they're bringing into meetings, CA meetings, NA meetings, AA meetings. They're bringing it out up the mountains. You know, they're bringing it. So it's not every day. You know, you have 1 or 2 days of tough grinding, and then next of all, you're out on top of a mountain on a day's walk. And, you know, it really, really is. It helped me a lot. And I suppose then I left here in May. And again, I'm thinking I'm okay. I'll go back working. But I listened to the likes of Noel here beside me and all the other key workers. They could see potential in me. They could see I worked hard. And they said, I think you're crazy going back to work. So they got me on another course, and I've just completed addiction level 5, PT level 4, and other bits and pieces. And yeah, I'm really, really grateful for this place. And I do get emotional talking about it because where I've been to where I am now. And currently, I'm doing addiction level 7 in my new college. I started that a few months ago. So what I'm trying to say is basically, without this place and without the education that they've given me, I wouldn't have been able to turn on a computer. But now I'm able to sit in level 7 out in Newt, where a lot of people in there are working for the services, just getting the level 7. They're not coming from an addiction background. But I'm well able to talk, and I'm well able to stand my corner, I suppose, where I wouldn't have been able to that 15 months ago. I was a broken man. So this place has had it, and these services, there's other services like this around the country. They're really, really valuable to the likes of myself. And yeah. I'm looking forward to the future. I suppose I'm getting a little bit old now. I have to really knuckle down, but without this place, I would have been lost, and the education system in it. And I'm grateful for everybody. I'll leave it at that, right? Is that all right, is it?
Jesus, yes. I thought, all right. That was amazing. Thank you for you shared it. I just was really struck by they opened up their arms to me. I feel like that it just sounds like it's a holistic approach. And I think,
It's not compassion. It's just
yeah.
compassion, and they don't. Look, I get emotional they're thinking about it, but they still to this day, like. And another thing, like, Soilse is in the inner city, and I was only uptown the other day, and I was buying a few presents for the Christmas. And I said, I fancy a cup of tea and a sandwich. So I just walked around here and I had a cup of tea and a sandwich. You know, the door is never closed in this place. And when they see it, they grab you to do stuff like this, you know, and then they grab you to do this, and the drama as well, you know, they grab you, oh, can you do something for me? Can you run down the shop? You know, when that's the trust they have in you now. If you understand, it really, really is a beautiful place. And long may I continue on helping people. And this man here is like I won't say that because he'll give me a dig, but you know what they do. But I'll leave it at that, yeah.
No, but thank you so much, Keith. And I really think it is extraordinary. 15 months, it's kind of, that's incredible, really. It's, you know, like it's no time at all in life. Like it really is no time at all. And it's amazing as well to hear that you're going into addiction studies, and what Noel said there as well about 50% of the Soilse staff have been through that experience, and many people that are working in other services in the city, you know, with that peer thing is so important, isn't it?
Yeah, well, they tell you till you know what I mean when you go to an NA or CA. Plus, I'm at the complete with 12 steps of recovery as well. So I'm out there helping people, giving them to show them what I've got. You know, because I've never died. You know yourself. When you hear these things, and that's not for me, but it's not for me. But it really is a beautiful thing. What happens when you get clean, sober? Your mental health is, you know, I get through the day now and just try to be calm, and I try to help people. but that's all from here, from listening to people that have gone before me, and as I said, 15 months ago, uh, back in May when I completed this, I wanted to go back to work, and these people grabbed me. No, no, do this and do that. So we've done another 20 weeks and another course that I got the addiction five. But
Yeah.
yeah, look, I'm looking forward to it. This actually probably my first Christmas since I'm about 14 clean. So it can't be that bad what you're doing.
No, it's amazing. It really is. And you're the best salesperson for Soilse. So Noel will have you out there. But thank you so much, Keith, for
Thanks.
sharing that. I really appreciate you taking the time. And there's lots of extremely lovely messages in the chat if you want to have a little read. But we'll move on to sale project. But if you stay with us, there might be some questions then at the end. Um, so thank you so much to both of you for talking us through all of Soilse. Like there's a huge amount of services being offered there, and it's great to hear. Unfortunately, I suppose that you lost the one-to-one with the literacy supports, and that is really unfortunate because we know that building people up, like you said, giving them a bit of confidence building and one-to-one support, and then being able to go into the group is really important. Um, so I'm going to pass over now to Gary and Jackie from the SAOL project. I think, Gary, were you going to give us a little rundown maybe on the background to SAOL, and then Jackie will tell us a bit more about the community employment scheme.
Brilliant. Thank you. And good morning, everybody. And I don't think it's fair that we had to follow that. That's just not right at all. Um, well done to Soilse, and it's great having Soilse in the community, working away, and all the beautiful things that people were saying. Really well deserved. Great work going on there. SAOL is over the other part of the North Inner City, the East Inner City, and we were set up about 30 years ago. Well, exactly 30 years ago. We've just celebrated 30 years to work with women who have issues with addiction. And we were set up initially to respond to the women who were in the local methadone program, which opened in 1994. And we started as a response because the manager in that health board service had said addiction is different for women. And the community responded, and they set up the SAOL project, and SAOL has been working ever since. And much like Noel was mentioning, the addiction has changed, and crack cocaine, pill use. People all over the country will know the different kind of drugs that are out there. Sometimes you're afraid of them. Don't always believe the stories because they're not always true. But drugs, any form of addiction is problematic and damaging to somebody's life. The substance itself isn't always the absolute guiding piece for that. So sometimes we can be afraid by the drug rather than actually, just meeting the person where they're at. I wanted to share a few pictures with you, if I can, just because sometimes that makes it, if you're just looking at us, it's not always the best. So this is SAOL Project. We're 58 Amiens Street, and you can email us there, or sailproject.ie is our website if you want to make contact with us or see more about what we do. This is our CE celebration day. Just earlier this year, we were celebrating 30 years of running a CE program. And Darren is the man there who looks after us from CE. And CE is a great structure to be able to operate, particularly our response to education. It hangs beautifully. We can offer women employment. They can talk about coming in for their job, just as was being talked about by Soilse there. And they come in and they're in 5 days a week. They're in for 3.5 hours a day. Then they do other groups and other one-to-ones. And we like to have really women being involved right at all core parts, and Darren, who's our CDO, kind of gets that. So the women choose what they're doing a lot of the time. So when we have the CDETB coming in running courses, the women have been part of that discussion and conversation about what courses they would like to do. But we don't just kind of stick with the CDTB. We've gone global recently, and Professor John Johnston is the UNESCO chair for issues-based art, and he's working with us at the moment. And Laura, who you can just about see in the picture there beside John, is John's the one with the beard, the handsome looking fella. I'm the fella at the back there who's hiding because he's less handsome, and Laura is working with Frebel, the education department out in Maynooth, and we have a big kind of involvement with the universities as well. So we go and connect and try and ensure that our women get to visit the universities, get to talk to students, get to tell them about addiction and about their lives, and so that they kind of really influence the learning journey of students in third level. So we are very involved with UCD's social work training, Maynooth social work training, Maynooth's youth and community, and Maynooth's Department of Education. So the women get in there. And with John Johnston, we're hoping to work with a group in Holland and a group in Morocco, where we're going to work together creating art around issues that involve each of the different groups. And then those pieces of art will be shared between the groups so that we can see, does art communicate, so that women in these different areas can talk to each other, not necessarily through language, but exactly what you were saying earlier, Dov, through communication, through that confidence, and by expressing self, maybe in different forms other than just words. This is them in the garden, in the local community garden, and we like to kind of get out doing our stuff out and about. We like to be visible. One of the things about addiction is you become invisible because of stigma. So our women like to get out there, and we sing and we perform, and if there's an opening of an envelope, we'll go to be present. And we like to kind of just disturb the narrative that maybe women who use drugs aren't these demons that the newspapers and the media will often present, but actually they are wonderful women who've had awful lives. And I often say to people, if drugs are the answer, then the question must have been really, really strange, really, really damaging. And the reality is that when you're working with women who use drugs, that domestic violence, childhood and adult trauma, community violence, child protection issues, criminality, and addiction all come in together in that intersectional way. So they don't just exist as individual problems, they multiply. And they multiply each other, making recovery a much longer process for women than it tends to be for men. And so being on the CE program, where they can be with us for 3 or 4 years and then maybe come back again and try again, is really, really positive kind of approach. And again, we're blessed to have CE, the CE program in SAOL, and have the interest of really creative educators. This is us out in Maynooth as well. At another time, we brought the Lady of the Rock. So if you know that, I don't even have a picture of it, but the woman who sits in lots of windows in the north in the city, she's looking very sexy. She's actually called the Lady on the Rock. And what we did with it was we took that and we created lots of wonderful art out of it and called it the Lady of the Rock, because around the north in the city, I imagine else around the country as well, rock is the slang word for crack cocaine. And because crack cocaine really impacts our women, we wanted to do something really creative with it. So they did that. I chose the wrong photograph. I should have shown you pictures of the creative work that they were doing as well. On the recovery month, we actually decided that September the 25th would be Recovery Day for women, especially because we don't always highlight women and women's issues. And so we went off around the north inner city doing our own little mini recovery walk and celebrating. And this is us at the Five Lamps. And then last night, the SAOL women were singing at the lighting of the Christmas tree on Sean McDermott Street. And this tree is lit for the families left behind for those who've died because of drugs. And unfortunately, we have a very, very high rate of drug-related deaths in Ireland. We talk all the time, regularly, about deaths related to drink driving and driving accidents, and that is dreadful. But the number of people dying related to drugs is about 3 times the deaths on the road. And then when you include those who die related to suicide because of drug use, you double that again. So there's more than 2 people a day dying in relation to drugs, which is just ridiculous, and we don't talk about it enough. And this is just one act in our community. But again, it's our women went and they sang underneath that tree to start off the event. So that confidence building, that communication is all part of that literacy piece, the bit that Noel was talking about with acting and doing plays and getting out and communicating and not hiding. So that's important. And then Santa came the other day as well. And that's Christine visiting Santa. But we had the Red Door Project from Drogheda came to us, and we had Christmas dinner with them. So that was just some of the fun that we get involved in SAOL. And we can only do that when we have really good and creative staff. And Jackie is one such creative staff. So I might hand over to you, Jackie, to tell us more about the day-to-day work.
Thanks, Gary. That was great. So Jackie, can you tell us a bit about, I suppose, the community employment scheme in SAOL and maybe how people get involved and what do you do?
So it's a 19.5-hour program a week. So our program here works Monday to Friday. And as Gary said, we're kind of like, they start coming in from about half past 9 till 1 o'clock. So it would be for a lot of women that would be on social welfare. So they'd have to change their payment to come on to the CE scheme. So changing the payment they'd get an increase of €27.50 a week. And I think it's €50 for a child under 12, and then €62.50 for a child over 12. Still not a lot of money, considering. So yeah, still not a lot of money for our women. And it's all great to kind of go, this is really easy. And I spoke to you about this the other day, and it's great going, oh yeah, we can do that. There's still a lot of issues around it. Some of our women may not have, been on any kind of work schemes whatsoever. And then they need help in setting up on revenue. They need help in setting up on banks. And I suppose for me, I started here in CE about 3 years ago. So I was kind of shocked when I seen how difficult it was for women to be able to access, the bank's social welfare and kind of get forms filled out. I'd never really probably thought, how difficult it could be. So what we do at the moment is I kind of try to make sure that I have somebody with our women and helping them set up, and then helping them go to the bank and having the same thing. They don't have, we're in the northeast inner city. Some of our women don't have mobile phones. They don't have email addresses. They don't access the internet. And they're probably a bit of a society we've forgotten about, really. We think everybody is up there now with digital technology, and but we're not. So it's quite difficult for our women to actually change their payments to get onto the CE scheme. I have even one girl with us at the moment, and I am trying since last October to get her onto the scheme, and the problem being because of revenue. And it's trying to get help. That's so much so that I've had to go to a counsellor now to see can they help us. And it's just down to addresses and things like that, but it's not easy. Yeah. It's been a tough one.
And I suppose that really illustrates all the barriers facing, I suppose, the women that come to you, and it is a very live issue. when you're on the, I suppose if a participant is on the community employment scheme, what would an average day look like? What kind of activities and things would you be doing with the women?
So really Mondays they'll come in, they'll have, I'll probably go through the week. So Monday they'll come in, they kind of come in about 9:30, a cup of tea. They will go in, we kind of do a check-in every morning with the women just to see how things are over the weekend. They'll come in, they'll do the check-in, go down, have a bit of breakfast. And then at the moment we have relaxation techniques with them with a fantastic tutor, and the women absolutely love him. He is so good with them, and we have that. We've just finished up with him now. Tuesday, then we do the same thing, a bit of a check-in, and then I'm trying to do a bit of fitness with the women as well. So over the past couple of years, we kind of noticed that they enjoy little things like, the gym, and it brings back a little bit of I think somehow in their childhood, there's a little bit of a memory that sports and things like that from years ago were fun. So we've kind of tried to do a little bit of fitness with them. No, it would be very light kind of things, but it's great. We've had great fun at the moment. We're taking on a bit of Zumba, which is you can imagine how that can go. We're watching somebody on screen and we're following it. But again, it just sheds a light on the women. The women are just so much enjoying it because they remember doing these things years ago, and haven't done these things in so long. Wednesdays, then it's the same thing. We have like arts then as well. And then on Friday, we have what we call Adventure Friday. So all the groups in SAOL come together, and then we can go off and do different things. So at the moment, we're doing a workshop with LYCS, and it's a leadership workshop. And that's pretty much. And then at the weekends, we also have a brunch. So that's really important for a lot of our women to get in and just to connect and to be able to have a little bit of food as well.
Yeah, and the brunch is quite famous, I suppose, in the North Inner City because lots of services, and people mightn't realize, but lots of services aren't open at the weekends. There can be nowhere to go.
It is, it's very important. And even I suppose from the poverty aspect, there's women that have had issues with washing machines, they're broken, they need help to dry stuff. So it's really good for us to have. It's really, really important.
And, the other day we were talking about how when people maybe struggle with their reading and writing and you're doing different activities that might involve that, how do you kind of provide support? Or, I know Gary was talking about some of the students that come in from programs.
Yeah, we're probably pretty lucky like that. We have a lot of students that come in, and I feel what the best thing to do there is I kind of dot them around who I would think might be the weaker kind of and that may need that little bit of support a little bit more. So we kind of do that. And then I suppose our tutors are great as well, that they work with the women. And if somebody doesn't want to speak, they don't have to. If they don't want to read, they don't have to do it. But they all like speaking.
And that's just to say for the audience that's CDETB tutors that come in and provide some hours of support. And
like though actually what Noel was saying as well, we did have a tutor for literacy to do individual one-to-ones, and we've lost that tutor as well. So it's just down to cutbacks as well.
That's very difficult. Yeah. It's obviously something that's been experienced by a few different organizations. And I suppose for you, in terms of confidence building, what are the types of things that you've seen how women's confidence has come on in the community employment scheme? Because it is 19.5, it's a big undertaking for people. And I know you don't push people, like you said that to me, that you try to
support them more. I'm trying to support them more than anything else. But we have a couple of women at the moment that are talking that maybe they would hope that next September they may try to do a college course, which would be brilliant. But I think for me, for the women, just to get in the door is the most important thing. So yes, they can come in, and it's just to get them here. It's so important. And it is hard, and the connection is huge. A lot of our women would be, I would say the majority of our CE women would be more kind of like late 30s, going up to early 50s. And they just need that bit of support, Sorry, one sec. Sorry. But they need that bit of support. They need that connection. Connection is huge. A lot of them are single. They're going home to houses. So this is the only time they have. So even just to come in, and if we can bring them to another level, that's great. But if it is just about the connection, it's just about the connection.
And it was really interesting at I was lucky enough to attend SAOL's 30th anniversary conference a few weeks ago, and Senator Lynn Ruane is a very passionate advocate, around supporting people who use drugs, and particularly around the deaths that you mentioned, Gary. She's always trying to put forward that. But what struck me was what she said was so clearly was like sometimes when you're working with people who have those vulnerabilities or from marginalized backgrounds, it's the over focus on their negative experiences of all the bad things. Whereas it should be about looking and developing people's interests, their passions, like you said, getting back to what they enjoyed as children or getting their sense of identity back. I just think that's such a beautiful way that SAOL does that through art and all of these different programs.
And I suppose for me, just on that, I suppose the fitness thing was that was really where that came from me. We had been working with a guy, a sports officer in DCC, Peter O'Donnell, and he had brought us down to the gym in Sheriff Street. But for me, I just seen the light, that little glimmer in some of the women's eyes, and I was going, "My God, we've got something here." And this is why then I decided just to do the fitness course, just to be able to do that with the women. And they're loving it, and every week they enjoy it. They might give out hell about it at the time, but they love it, and they really enjoyed it. And I think it's really important for them.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Jackie. And I think it's clear from both yourselves and SAOL and Soilse, I think we can underestimate the impact of some of those activities, whether it is going into nature for people that have lived in the city centre their whole lives or wouldn't be able to afford or would be nervous maybe to going into those spaces, or whether it's visiting museums or whatever it is, those activities that people develop confidence to be in the world, like Gary said, to be visible and to take part. It can't be underestimated. I think sometimes maybe steps are skipped because we're all under pressure with funders or whatever, people have to get through a program, to get through a QQI, whatever, but the slow build, it sounds like the success, that non-judgment, no pressure. It really comes across.
I mean, our women should be seen and they should be heard, as Gary said, they've had absolutely traumatic experiences through their lives. So, they deserve to be here. They deserve to be loved and to support it as well.
We'll leave it at that. That's the best way to end. Thank you, Jackie. I really appreciate you both and Gary being with us today to speak.